Hey, welcome back, guys. Franklin's parting line to Tanase has never been more true for our main players. The trouble now looming post Alton's betrayal is at a fever pitch, and we've only a few episodes left to pick up the pieces. I'll be here breaking it down in typical Top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. Lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Snowfall. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, a sobriety celebration. Alton was thrown a surprise birthday/sobriety party following his clandestine meeting with Irene. He was showered with love from his flock, presumably for the final time after his decision to expose the inner workings of Franklin's business and the CIA connection. Alton was visibly uneasy during the festive ordeal, underneath the praise of his loved ones, and the underlying guilt eating away at him by the second. WTF moment number 9, the overdose of John Baxter. Once back at the shelter, Alton was confronted by tragedy in the form of John Baxter, the man we saw him trying to help earlier this season, along with his son and daughter. After finding Baxter's daughter unattended, Alton and Wanda later discovered a lifeless John Baxter, froze as Wanda identified him. Baxter's addiction and overdose served as a not-so-subtle reminder for the conflicted Alton, who's wrestling with whether or not he made the right decision and constantly being shown evidence in the affirmative. WTF moment number 8, followers. Peaches noticed that he and Franklin were being followed on their way to the drop. Franklin decided to have Pete pull over and directly engage the unknown assailants. However, they flee in the midst of this conflict, leaving Franklin to surmise that they weren't after petty riches or robbery, but the biggest fish in the sea, the Connect himself. It was a good try by Manboy, but in his own words, Franklin's brain still works, so you're gonna have to come harder than that. WTF moment number 7, Dion repair. Lee revisited his old project stomping grounds and encountered Dion, the disgruntled cousin of his fallen friend Fatback. He accused Lee of not taking care of his own and was surely gonna put him to sleep had the conflict escalated. Lee later appealed to Jerome for assistance in squashing the matter. WTF moment number 6, Unauthorized Hit. Khadija puts a bounty on Leon's head without Manboy's knowledge. He is approached by 2 women looking to collect on the reward, having killed a Leon lookalike. Manboy dismissed the women and later castigated his sister for the reckless maneuver. WTF moment number 5, ground rules. Alton met with Irene at a local bar and began his clandestine confessional against his son's enterprise and, more hazardous, the CIA. Before getting too deep, he gave the relentless reporter some ground rules spearheaded by confidentiality and the protection of his family's name. WTF moment number 4, truce. Jerome came through for Leon and allowed himself to bridge another meeting between him and Dee. He offered to cover Fatback's funeral expenses, hunt down those responsible for his untimely demise, and pay double for soldiers in the effort. Dion apprehensively agreed due to Jerome's affiliation with his gang and family ties. WTF moment number 3, thwarted. Lee and Jerome readied their new soldiers for the hustles to come. When they dispersed, Lee was surprisingly confronted by a random project girl in search of collecting the $5,000 bounty on his head. The effort was circumvented by Einstein, who disarmed the girl. As she begged for her life, the crew gathered the most important piece of information: just who sent the bounty. WTF moment number 2, broken bonds. Since he exposed Alton's role in revealing their underworld business to Franklin, Saint was livid upon discovering what his father did, and they had their first and most heated exchange since Alton's rehab and recovery period some seasons ago. Franklin then pistol whipped his father, disowned him, called him by his first name, and ordered him to leave. And WTF moment number 1, exigent circumstances. Reed hunted down that rogue banker behind stealing his money from the foreign bank. He pulled up on him like a G while he slept, asking very specific questions. After having enough, Reed hit him with a sedative and, upon awakening, enforced the waterboard treatment, an age-old torture tactic that imposed a drowning sensation on the victim. Reed's house of horror was cut short, however, when the local authorities, the woman from the bank, and Avi appeared in the epilogue. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. The title of this episode is based on a Bible passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. It reads, "For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known." This text derives from the Apostle Paul and explains the dichotomy between blurred vision in the beginning and clear vision at the end. Alton's story in episode 7 was a representation of this dynamic. Up to this point, he has seen through a glass darkly, i.e., Alton stood by his son's criminal endeavors and perpetually turned a blind eye to the pain it was causing his community. To assuage his own conscience, he started the homeless shelter, certainly as a way to give back after formerly experiencing homelessness himself, but also to turn his son's poison into purity. However, the shelter unintentionally served as a museum of tortured souls ravaged by the very substance funding their sanctuary. Alton hasn't been blind to this fact, and as his vision has cleared, so did his conscience's growing need for clearance as well. I believe this is ultimately why he chose to capitulate to Irene's demands. His obscure or imperfect vision of reality has been removed, and it's inevitably forced the removal of everyone else's. Also keep in mind Alton's revolutionary past, which directly affected his maneuver as well. With all that being said, I wonder if Alton's bleeding heart was worth the bleeding head he caught later, courtesy of Franklin's pistol. It was painful to see the regression in the Junior Saint's eyes. Any fan of the series understands just how complex that relationship is, and it just literally did an about-face before our eyes. There's no going back from this now. Jerome's discontent was more than visible throughout this episode, with plenty of cold shoulder to go around, including Franklin, Louis, etc. He could be a wild card if shit hits the fan in the immediate future. Nothing like a soldier with seeds of resentment planted by the deceptions of those closest to him. That swole-haired nigga that played Dion in this episode definitely played Zig in Power Season 6, the drug dealer responsible for extorting Tasha's daycare. Salute to all the Power alumni keeping things rolling. And finally, how y'all feeling about Tanase following that hot oil treatment? Is she still on the one to watch list? I'm certainly keeping her on mine. I have an interesting breakdown coming for her soon, so stay tuned. And that'll do it for this one. What were your thoughts on Through a Glass Darkly? Be sure to drop me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are fans of Snowfall, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.